Hello and welcome to Black Dragon Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me for today's Timeless Pick a Card reading, where we will be going into the Akashic Records to find out what your life purpose and destiny are. We'll be looking at how your past life is influencing your life purpose and destiny, as well as this current lifetime, kind of energetically what's being weaved for you. And yeah, I'm expecting this to be deep, but I also I'll be pulling the past and present Akashic Records beforehand just to save a little bit of time, because I want to focus mostly on the life purpose and destiny part of the reading. So just so you know, thank you so much for your support, your comments, likes. I really appreciate it. I'm very grateful always, So I have 3 piles for you to choose from. Pile 1, pile 2, and pile 3. So, of course, if you need some more time, you can go ahead and pause the video now. I'll have the timestamps in the description. So, yeah, I look forward to this one. I'll see you at your reading. Hi, pile 1. If you chose the Thoth Light Codes card, this is going to be your reading. What do the Akashic Records have to say about your destiny and life purpose in this lifetime? The card says Light Initiation, Great Teacher Awakening, and Divine Magic. I'm going to read that in a second, but first I wanted to reveal kind of what the Akashic Records are showing about this lifetime and a previous or past life before we go into the meat of the reading, which is all about the life purpose. So as we go into the past life, we have the 3 of Swords, the 9 of Wands, and the Page of Pentacles. I'll go into what these mean in a second, but I also wanted to go into this lifetime with Justice. There we go. Star. And the Hanged Man. So let's go ahead. I know this is an unorthodox kind of way of approaching, at least for me, the reading, but I did want to read from the book first. So let's look at Thoth, and then we'll kind of bring all of it together. When I get to it, I probably should have had this taken out. 159. Okay. Thoth. It was said that he was the priest king of Atlantis and was dedicated to leading the Atlantean people in a loving way that was firm but fair. Straight away, firm but fair, I'm thinking Libra, the Justice card, which is in the middle of this lifetime. And so far, I mean, without even going into the life purpose, the energies have been mostly that of self-sacrifice, immense burden, and almost like that for some of you, you might have been a part of a religion or a religious group or something like that, where it was expected to make sacrifice. And this could be very literal, given that this is in a past life, especially if you get triggered by certain religious practices or religions or things like that. Whereas in this lifetime, there's a lot more independent thinking and mindset, kind of less of a willingness to give all of yourself to everybody at any given point of time. But also, it might be the case where you're just very easily able to identify injustice, it just pops out to you, you know, even if someone puts on a pretty face or knows how to lie, and even more advanced practitioners, I guess, would be able to shift their energy so that they could seem more approachable, but you could still see through that. I think just because you've gone through so much injustice in your past life, I mean, maybe in this lifetime too, but I'm getting it very strongly in the past, where as you were someone who took on and had a lot of expectations from others, and were immediately blamed for when things went wrong. But yeah, let's continue with this. Maybe a couple more sentences before we get into it. This gateway takes you to the space where you can connect with the energetic frequency that Thoth carries. As a master teacher of the stars, he holds space for you to connect with some of your greatest gifts in this lifetime and the many others that you've lived. It's kind of weird because, first of all, that this card is mentioning other lifetimes. Not all of the, at least I don't think, all of these oracle cards mention past lives. So I think that's interesting, but also the mention of the star, which is in the middle of this deck. And so I do think this pile has a very strong connection to the stars, to Thoth, to Atlantis. But there's something celestial about this pile, and I think it's straight away a part of this life purpose is grounding some of this outlandish energy into planet Earth, because it could be that your soul finds it completely bizarre the way the structure of things are in this planet, the priorities of governments, of people, and again, the amount of injustice. Just because there's laws doesn't mean they make sense or they should even be followed, honestly. At least to a certain extent, you know, it's one thing to have structure, but then there's another thing to just have control and deliberate manipulation of people's potential and their dreams. And I could see that here with this card, that the Akashic Records are pointing out from your past is feeling the weight of humanity on your shoulders. And it's like Thoth himself is trying to give you a break from that, from feeling that burden, and knowing that, you know, you're really only ever responsible for yourself. And I think that's where this lifetime comes into play, where you are in a lot of ways meant to share your wisdom through, I think, not only through spoken word, but a lot of writing comes through with the two swords. The Hanged Man, which is depicted with a sword, and then the Justice card, but also with Thoth, who is himself in this card writing, and is known to be a being who wrote, you know, the tablets, the emerald tablets of Thoth, as well as I associate him to be one of like the gatekeepers of the Akashic Records. And so maybe part of your life purpose is working with the Akashic Records, you know. I wouldn't be too surprised at that, but I do imagine, and I see that, you know, with the star, it's all about bringing these dreams and high hopes and high perspectives into reality and grounding them. And I do think that your emotional body has a lot of power to it, you know. This suffering that you've endured, maybe in this lifetime, but a lot of it's in the past. And so there could be, this pile might have a lot of subconscious triggers and difficult dreams that you've dealt with. But there's something about bringing that into light and almost transcribing those experiences, and again, the emotions. There's it's like the language of your emotional experience has wisdom from the stars that are meant to be written out and brought on earth for other people to experience and look at and read, you know. So I do feel straight away like there's writing involved with your life purpose. or there's at least putting pen to paper, that there's like a documentation that's to be had. But I also see as kind of like a sort of judge or lawyer, maybe literally for some of you, but as someone who is in the middle of conflict and brings it to a halt, you know, like you're able to see multiple sides. Let's just look at this for a second with the swords. I think you represent in a lot of ways people who cannot speak for themselves, or can't not just speak for themselves, but can't describe their suffering. You can put words to that, and that's very powerful. As we look into the life purpose and destiny, destiny is more of something that you create for yourself. Life purpose, I mean, they can be interchangeable, but yeah, wow. But destiny also depends on the actions that you take to make that happen. So it's kind of like taking the potential and making something of it, and that's entirely up to you. What's interesting is that, oh, and then we have the world in the back of the deck. I'm going to put it back into the deck for now, but I'll come back to it later. So for the main cards, we have the Ace of Cups and the Ace of Swords. Which is to say, I think you get a lot of inspiration, almost in bursts, like impulses that are meant to be shared with others. And then with the Star, and I'm noticing the Temperance card as well, is a big part of your life purpose is blending the energies of both of these past lives. Well, the past life and the present. You might have been on both sides of kind of being the good guy and the bad guy, like in a past life. Not to say you've been on that side of the fence, but like you understand the perspectives, right? You understand those that might have even brought injustice, because a lot of times it's not just about enacting vengeance on those who did wrong. It's about trying to understand the thoughts and the circumstances that lead to that behavior, and if we can stop that before it happens, then real healing could be done to the world. And I do think a big part of your being on this planet is to bring, through healing yourself, you and not just healing yourself, but talking about that healing process, talking about those parts of your life that kind of were hidden away, or these insecurities, and bringing them to light, and kind of putting yourself out there with this Neptune card, allowing yourself to just be out in the surface. And I'm kind of imagining that as well with this Temperance again, is it's a yo-yo effect of meditating on your external experiences and bringing internal experiences out into the open. Both of those. What's interesting is that we went from the Page of Pentacles to the Knight of Pentacles. For some of you, this might not be your last lifetime, well, at least on this planet. But I'm also seeing part of your life purpose is creating one for yourself. That might be a big one, actually. And I don't know if that seems silly for some of you, but actually setting a destination for yourself is huge. So I think that's, as long as you're moving, because there might be, yeah, I'm kind of noticing that your soul might, and look at that, we just got the Fool card. Yeah, that's definitely confirmation. Is that like your soul is almost used to being locked up? It's used to being closed, and it's used to not having a choice. or an opportunity to do whatever it wants to do. 10 of Pentacles. So we have the Fool, the Hermit, and the 10 of Pentacles. You could see those. The Hermit and the Fool. And we'll notice the Fool and the Hermit look very similar. Although the Fool kind of reminds me of the 3 of Pentacles in a way, with the three these little stars ascending almost. So part of your life purpose is to help with the ascension of the planet in a more general sense. But how that happens, that's a big part of your destiny, is to create a destiny for yourself. That might be a bit, yeah, like, I can't help but smile at that. I don't know. And it's through meditation where you find that out, where you find the light within yourself, and where you find the courage to move and dance freely. Because again, this is where you've been, and even in this lifetime, these two energies are very strong. And even with the Knight and Page of Pentacles, those pentacles have quite a bit of a weight to them. So it's almost hard for you to move, right? But the more you write, the more you express these emotional blockages that you've had. But even more so, it's kind of like there's a connection to the stars with the Hermit, right? And the Fool is kind of not only freedom, but also receiving wisdom and guidance. It's downloads, instant downloads, and sharing those with others. And so I think a big part of your purpose is definitely teaching, like the Thoth deck suggests, but I do think, like, for some of you, it might be geared towards children, so they don't get caught in the trap. It's got these. Wow, 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 wow. So, right on top of each other, too. Oh my god, if I can pick these cards up, though. Right on top of each other. So, this was the Fool. And I'm not making this up. Right on top of the Fool, we have the Fool again. But that's not it. Right on top of the Hermit, we have the Hermit again. And they're holding the same sort of staff, the same positioning. And that's interesting because I had mentioned that the top 2 tarot cards look the same. And this is an oracle deck, by the way. So, like, and with the Temperance and the Chariot is a union of multiple energies coming together to catapult you forward. There's something about the sun, too, shining bright, being a star. So, a creative force being brought out through movement, and that movement is what creates, right? It's like the molecules vibrate, and that brings forth light and life and creativity, and that light comes from dark places, right, within your psyche. And we have all of these stars here with the Hermit, so that is definitely confirmation. And I think the biggest thing is that the Hermit energy could be home. It could be very comfortable. So the big thing, the part of your destiny, is bringing that out, and sharing it. And it's like going from wearing the robe of wisdom and cloak and like all of the secrecy, and almost transmuting it into something where you feel vulnerable. You definitely feel vulnerable. But you're sharing the stars, the wisdom of the stars, in a lot of ways, quite literally, with the world. And it's scary, but you have guidance on it. And we'll notice that this fool is looking at this heart that's on fire. And so that could represent sacrifice, suffering, but also Saturn with the Saturn in the heart center, and that concentration and focus. And that ties back to this emotional intelligence that you're bringing forth into the world. But it's like that pain that you've endured has a story to tell, and that story has within it kind of like secret knowledge within it that might even be underneath your consciousness. So you're not trying to like teach someone directly. It's in between the lines, really. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end the reading with that. Hopefully you enjoyed it and got something out of it. Please let me know in the comments what you thought, and yeah, I hope to see you in the next reading. Take care. Hi pile 2. If you chose the Arcturian light codes, this is going to be your reading on what the Akashic Records have to say about your life purpose and destiny. This card says evolutionary downloads, recalling power, and future thinking. And I'm going to read that from the book in a little bit. But first, I wanted to look at the Akashic Records from a past life and how this past life is influencing your destiny and life purpose. And then I'll look at your current lifetime. I have the cards out already. So the first card we have is the 5 of Swords. This is regarding your past. We have Madame Lula and the Empress. In this current lifetime, we have the Page of Wands, the 7 of Pentacles, and what is this? The Queen of Swords. I do think in your past there were deceptive people who were drawn to you. You attracted deceit, in other words. And I think that's because of how big you were and how vulnerable you looked. I think there was like people who would take advantage of your innocence and your willingness to give to oblivion. And so that drew in a lot of people, again, who were not honest at all. And this lifetime sees more of a separation from people, from humanity in general. And while it's possible that you've had a similar experience in this lifetime, it also seems like maybe in part that experience was brought into this lifetime through your subconscious, which kind of kept that story going from a past life. But also there's like it was like a reactive protective action that you've taken with or without knowing is oh, I don't want to put myself in the way of others, so let me do what I can and grow and observe from afar. Especially with this Sagittarius, it's like your flame feels constricted by the presence of others. But you also get a lot of inspiration from nature and from looking up at big things. There's something about size, right? There's something about mountains and trees, and like once upon a time you might have been a tree or a mountain or something like that. But gosh, these lights are so bright today. But that size and epic scale also reminds you of how many different creatures can live and walk on top of a mountain. There's flowers, bees, goats, bears, snow, and things like that, all types of different creatures. And in a way, it's like being that big reminds you of how many different influences and things are residing within you and within your subconscious and conscious mind. And there's this part of you that wants to master all of those things, just so you are not at the mercy of deceit again. We're going to look at the destiny and all that stuff in a second, but first I want to look at the oracle card, which was, again, I'll show it to you, the Arcturian light code. So you could be someone who resonates with being an Arcturian. I am going to do the serious starseed reading in a couple days, just so, I don't know, was that like an advertisement or a trailer for what's coming? But let's see. It says, many believe that there are light beings living on a blue planet orbiting Arcturus, who are in the 5th or even 11th or even higher dimension. Some think they could be a prototype for what is possible on planet Earth. They're described as blue beings. It's interesting as straight away I'm looking at this, which is something that you might have been, one of these Arcturians, a blue being, and that this is something that happened on a different planet, and maybe you were not in Arcturus, but rather another planet, kind of with the Arcturian energy, and that sort of thing happened, and that's something that has the potential to be happening in this lifetime again, where people are drawn naturally to this light, and maybe you've found comfort in hiding that light, in dimming it, just to not attract deceit, again, mischievous behavior and things like that, you know. Okay. Excuse me. The Arcturian race are here to help those on Earth who feel called to facilitate healing and to move beyond the draconian and patriarchal ways of being. They got us to realize that we have a great opportunity to evolve beyond these limited states, and if we don't, we'll be stuck on a karmic wheel for thousands of years before we get our next opportunity. If you feel called to the Arcturians or this information, it could indicate a past, future incarnation on the Arcturian planet, or that you have Arcturian guides working for you. I guess that's confirmation already of either one of those. So let's look at your life purpose and destiny. We have the Queen of Cups, Ace of Pentacles. Did that come up earlier? I don't remember. Whoops. No, I had the... Well, anyway. So, pile 1 had an ace. This pile has an ace, and that's all about brand new ideas. So you have something to bring forth. And in this pile feels more like building something of some kind. So either a physical structure or maybe... we have Justice in the back of the deck. And so that Justice could represent like a karmic balancing from past lives. So maybe, in other words, you have the potential to draw in more honest, more like-minded, loving souls into your life, just because of the release that you've been doing so far in this lifetime. We have the Queen of Cups, which, you know, is a being who's aware and expresses her emotions, but also kind of hides them, right? We have the Ace of Pentacles, which was on top of the Seven of Pentacles. So there's, again, potential in building something, financial stability. I could also imagine kind of volunteering or creating a safe haven for others outside of the masses, outside of normal society, and maybe building a home or a facility or a retreat away from the hustle and bustle, and closer towards nature and closer towards the stars, mirroring the Arcturian way of living, which is where almost the energy is more important than how much money you have, although I think by living that way, you'll naturally attract plenty of financial opportunities, so you could actually build this safe haven for others. But notice there's no one there, so I mean, you don't have to share it with others, but you can also, I think, arguably more powerful is showing others how they could build that for themselves. It's like, can you imagine being a guide for other star seeds who are just a little confused as to the rules that we are taught to live by and the rules of the universe as a whole, and that there's like a disillusion, they clash, those ideas clash, and it's almost like I could imagine you saying to other star seeds, even if it's not Arcturians, but you know, you can make it without by playing by your own rules. You can live a heart-centered life and still not only get by but thrive. We have the King of Swords here as well. I think this King of Swords represents discernment, being able to stop this energy from happening again. So I do kind of see a mastery of this, of being able to look into the souls of others and souls of people, but also kind of even whole countries or cities or things like that on a very big level. It's like you could see beneath the mountain, that sort of thing. That's an ability you have quite naturally, but a big thing is to call out like this Libra, this Queen of Swords would do, you know. We do have both of these here. So the Queen of Swords represents this lifetime, and this kind of represents your potential to be the king. So spreading that knowledge and wisdom and insight with others, and not being afraid to share it, not being afraid to fight if necessary, because I could imagine kind of maybe in the past where you've turned your back and just accepted defeat, not physically, not necessarily, but more of in arguments of, again, injustice and things like that, where you just would take the loss just to prevent more conflict. But I think you have the potential anyway to end conflict quickly through just your sharp mind and with the help of the universe backing you up. And I do think the more resources you have, the more of an audience you can get. And so Queen of Pentacles. Let's just take a look at these. Seven of Wands. Yeah, there's something about defending others, representing others. We have Three of Wands and the Two of Wands. So lots of this Wands energy. And Seven of Cups in the bottom of the deck. Oh, I'll show you these. Seven of Wands. Seven of Wands. With the Queen of Pentacles, I'm just seeing like almost like a shaman or someone who works with the earth, but also has a lot of resources. We have the Three of Wands here. And the King of Swords. Oh, we showed that already. Two of Wands as well. And the Two of Wands usually has a figure holding, or actually that's the Three of Wands that's holding the earth. Like the globe on their hand. So I don't know, I'm imagining part of your destiny, or at least the potential, is to create an environment that's separate, like away from others, and to invite like-minded people to you. So it's like a big bold move that you at least have the energy and ability to do if you wanted. But if not that, then at least creating a structure and safe haven for for others that want to spread their light and not be afraid of getting attacked for it. Right? Because, I don't know, there's just something about this fire that's able to spread and attract other, like, you know, fire beings, light beings like that, and creating a completely different environment that's only made of this almost celestial energy. And I think once all of these beings get together, they have the ability to create something that is like, it's made from Earth, but it's not earthly. It's something beyond Earth. And I think even more than that, like the creation that is birthed from this environment can really heal the planet as a whole. We have Temperance showing up again. The Hermit showing up again. Yeah. And the Moon. And the Moon actually showed up earlier, but I put the card to the side. So this is kind of confirmation of that energy. And then Virgo as well. But I'll show you some of these other cards. I think part of this is revealing, you know, the deceitful nature of humanity. Like, not only that we lie to others, but we lie to ourselves about what needs to happen. We lie about the structures and the necessities that we're taught to have, you know. I think there's so much extra noise that isn't necessary, and part of your life purpose is finding balance and kind of using some of that noise, using some of this extra energy that could easily be put to waste. So an example of that would be something like social media, the influencers, things like that, where you could lose yourself to throwing your attention and time into something empty, or you could kind of use those platforms to reach out to people who are kind of lost in a trance and try and get them to be a better version of themselves, and also to be aware of their subconscious, because I think that there's a lot of potential within the subconscious of humanity as a whole, but also within your target audience to it's like channeled, not art, but it's tactile. It's a physical thing. It's like trance, like gardening or building or construction, in a way where all of a sudden there's a whole new structure, there's a whole new way of living. And I can kind of imagine like a whole fundraising volunteer program that you'd create that you thought was impossible or couldn't possibly get the funding or backing needed to really have much of an impact on the world. But that's also part of the conditioning of the planet, and you know, the people around you and the government's a bit of that, but also subconscious too, where it's like, oh, in order for that level of success I have to do X, Y, and Z, as opposed to, well, just have that intention and continue looking at it, focusing on it, writing on it, and taking small action towards it. Because I think, like, if you were to do some sort of volunteer safe haven, or create maybe a getaway hotel or a a retreat. It's not, I keep going back to that, where it's like you're making a community, a safe space that's closer to the heart, closer to earth, closer to things that you actually value, and you'll be surprised at how much resources will kind of come into your life to make that happen. But yeah, I'm gonna end the reading there. Cut that off quickly, sorry. Yeah, because my battery's about to die. But hopefully you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments. You know, I appreciate the comments and seeing how these readings resonate, and like, share, subscribe, you know, if you feel called to do so. But thank you so much for your time, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Take care. Hi, Pile 3. If you chose this card, this is going to be your reading on what the Akashic Records have to say about your destiny and life purpose. This card is the Halls of Learning, which actually relates to the Akashic Records, so I found that interesting. But it also says Spirit Guides, Confirmation, and Great Lessons. I'm going to read from the book in a little bit, but I want to show you the cards that relate to your past life and this lifetime from the Akashic Records. So from your past life, we have the Four of Swords, the Eight of Swords, and the Devil card. For your past life, the Akashic Records really describing how this past life is affecting your current life purpose. And then for this lifetime, we have the Eight of Cups, the, what is this, Seven of Cups, and, oh, the Six of Cups. Yeah, these were shuffled, by the way, but wow. Okay. So there's a very sharp contrast between your past life in the Akashic Records and this lifetime, where this has been more of an emotional experience, lots of shifting energy, reflection, contemplation. All of the figures in this lifetime are sitting down. So a lot of dreamy energy, probably at least some Pisces influence for this pile. Lots of nostalgic energy and kind of aloofness to you. Like there's only one earth sign here, and that's with the Devil card from your past life energy, with Capricorn being here. And I could imagine that the halls, I was going to say the halls of Amenti, but the Akashic Records are showing that your past life, as it relates to your life purpose in this lifetime, there is a bit of self-sabotage here, especially when you were bored. And so there was kind of destructive behavior on your part when the mind wasn't focused on something useful or engaging, or really something helpful for yourself. You would either proceed to just create mayhem around you, or kind of self-destruct in a lot of ways. And this lifetime has kind of forced you to think less and feel more. And so I could see your life purpose already having to do with not only being focused, but learning, continuously learning and using that knowledge. Not only because this deck, or this card, says the Halls of Learning, but I think that you can teach others about anything you want, really. But I do see a lot of this having to do with emotions and the subconscious, and even for some of you, the shadow, and like teaching others about what like dark energy is, what the shadow is, and how it's often misrepresented. Kind of seeing this Devil card as a part of the universe that has its own wisdom, because it's associated with not only Capricorn but with Saturn, which is associated with time, Chronos, and Also focus, and that focus circles back again to the halls of learning of maybe this pile would be inclined to teach esoteric, or teach about themselves and their own experience, and again, kind of journaling this devil energy and bring it forth into light so that others can learn from it. And maybe like addictive counseling, but also there's a lot of different applications for this sort of thing, right? But the biggest thing is not allowing yourself to be self-destructive. I don't think that's a thing in this lifetime, but that energy is still it's in the hall of I keep saying the hall hall of learning, but no, in the Akashic Records, is that there's a lot of potential to create chaos, and that's not necessarily bad. It's just like, is it just for the sake of boredom, or is it something like, can you use that chaos to destroy destructive mindsets and habits and things that aren't really serving anybody? So there's a lot of power behind this pile. So let's see what the life purpose and destiny are. Let's not. Sorry, I forgot to read from the book. That's why I was having trouble pulling cards. So, ultimately, this etheric retreat is an ancient mystery school, and it is particularly powerful for those who are opening up their psychic and clairvoyant abilities. So I'm imagining like a spiritual teacher, someone who knows what it's like to awaken and are helping others who are on that path, where they can easily fall into a pattern of destructive behaviors, especially with drug addiction or something like that, where just because they don't know how to cope with these things they're feeling, these energies that they're feeling, that you could provide insight, not only through written wisdom that you've acquired, but also from your spirit guides, and kind of like celestial from the moon specifically. But yeah, okay. Also, if the idea of an ancient mystery school in the astral realm feels familiar or seems familiar, there's a good chance that you've been here during dream time, or even in between incarnations. These great halls are held within the heart of Source and are a projection of the Divine Mind's infinite intelligence. Spiritual beings are drawing close to support you. If you are facing challenging or difficult circumstances, you have just moved through such a time, you are being called to review what you've learned about yourself. Blah, 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 blah. If you aren't experiencing challenging energy, sorry about that. The reason is that you've made huge progress on your spiritual journey. And that's kind of like that challenging aspect is the Devil card again. So I also think that that challenging part is something you've already dealt with, because most of the cards in this lifetime don't really show that challenging energy. It's more of reflecting and like I said, nostalgic, dreamlike experiences. Like, even if it's not within the dream realm in itself, there could be moments throughout the day where it feels like deja vu, like familiar, but it's really just maybe you might notice people, friends or whatever that you just meet, that were actually from a past life, and they just remind you of that lifetime. We have the Four of Wands. So these cards now represent your life purpose and destiny. It's a lot of wands today. The Devil is showing up again. Wow. I think each pile, if I remember, has had repeat cards throughout different decks, so that's interesting. But that Devil energy is, I think, part of it is, that's kind of like what you're rooted in is this underworld energy. And I also think with the wands, the fire association, the heart, with Aries, Venus and Aries, and then Sagittarius as well. Or is it Sagittarius? I think it's Leo, actually. But anyway, I think having a good understanding of this shadow, this devil energy, is where you can really help a lot of other people. Kind of studying the shadow, being friends with the shadow, and teaching others. Again, we have the strength card, which is, like I was just about to say, is taming that wild side, taming the beast. Or not necessarily taming it, but understanding it, working with it, and allowing it to work for you, not against you. And with this world card, I could almost see opportunities open up as much as you open up about your experiences within this devil energy. So again, like if there's been something in your past that you might be more ashamed of, bring it to the surface with the newfound wisdom that comes with experience and maturity and reflection. You'll be able to translate it in a way where it's, sorry, this lighting is something else, in a way that's more approachable, so it's not scary. And it might be a taboo subject that you're interested in, but you can present it in a way where it's, again, something that can be digested easily by the masses, or at least by those who are willing to go on their awakening journey with respect to them, for themselves and for the people around them. I do have the Five of Pentacles here, so I'm going to get another card for that probably, but this is kind of reminding me of the difficulty, for some reason, that this devil energy might have in communicating, and maybe that's been a more difficult part of your journey, is being able to express these sides of you. Difficulty in trying to not understand, but get other people to understand that this part of your experience is necessary and has a purpose, especially when most people tend to put it off, you know, as, oh, this is bad and let's just dismiss it and just love and light and that's it. And that's really only half the story. So let's get some more oracle cards. Yeah, because I'm kind of seeing it as like freedom. Real freedom comes from embracing both sides of you and understanding it and expressing. There's so much that wants to be shared, and it's almost like the light and shadow. The light would be the page and the shadow would be the ink that writes on the page, and so they're both necessary when it comes to sharing a story and creating. So the oracle cards are Gemini, and again, this might reflect two sides of you. You could be a Gemini too, of course, especially with all that air energy that we got from the past life part of the Akashic Records. We do have the Hierophant, so we have writing, storytelling here, and then the Heart. Excuse me, which I'm thinking of that Four of Wands, but also a lot of this journey in this lifetime. The Akashic Records are showing understanding of this up and down flow of oh, look, there's the shield of the Empress in the bottom there. So I think some of you could have easily gone down a path of more self-destruction in this lifetime, just because of how difficult it might have been with some people that have come in and out of your life. But I think instead, at least the destiny part of it, is there's a lot of fire with the Four of Wands and Seven of Wands, and that fire is also being shown in the Heart card, which is right here. So it's kind of like a desire to share almost this pain with people in a productive way, because it could easily be unproductive. And I'm sure some of you, at least, or many of you, have been on the receiving end of someone who's just being hurtful because that's how they feel and they want to spread that pain. Instead, what you can do is spread the experience of what you've had, but not necessarily the pain, if that makes sense. Kind of like sharing the story. And while you were someone who would protect this heart at all costs, protect yourself from being seen in that way, it's kind of like the exposure of putting yourself out there. Again, that's kind of how you get people into these halls, into the halls of your own wisdom, right? I want to get more cards. I don't know why. Let's get a couple more cards. One more from the past, telling us about your life purpose on this planet, in this timeline. Okay, so we have the Magician. Look at all these screens projecting at different angles to different people, different insight from, again, various angles. Let's look at this card and the Empress. The Empress did show up in a previous pile, but it also showed up in this reading when I showed you the Heart card, the Heart Oracle. That there's this shield at the bottom right here, and it has arrows. So I think your heart has been a target for a lot of people. So again, relationships, things like that, where especially with so many cups in the current energy, the current lifetime from the Akashic Records, that's been an important part of your growth and your level of maturity, and again, part of what you have to teach the world, because there's, with learning, not only learning from yourself, but learning so that you could share that wisdom with others, is about the nature of pain, the nature of hurting others, like the mechanics of why people choose to do that to one another. And that's where this deep dive into the devil energy could be a big part of your life purpose, is understanding this. And even more advanced way is understanding it without judgment of it. It's just looking at it head on for what it is, and seeing it within everybody, and being able to know how to bring forth healing and mastery over this energy. And that's extremely powerful. But it can also, of course, invoke fear upon people who just are either unawakened or unwilling to admit that that's even there, out of a very intense fear. Let's get one more Oracle card before we close this out. Oracle card, kind of confirming this life purpose and destiny. Destiny is all about what you choose to do with this energy that you already have. But the life purpose is kind of like, it's within you, you know. Aquarius. So there's definitely a lot of that. Oh, and the star. I think the star's shown up in every reading so far. So I think a big part is knowing what it is you want, what it is you daydreaming about, what it is that you imagine yourself to be, but also pouring yourself into the world somehow, any way you can. That's a big part of your life purpose. and not being afraid of using your mind, not being afraid of the thoughts that you have, the conversations you have with yourself. If you could find a way to put that on a page, or share that with people, so that you can have that dialogue with the shadow of other people, I think that'll just bring more awareness to the root of pain and destruction, ultimately. But yeah, I'm gonna end the reading with that. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Again, I really appreciate your time, your energy, your support, and I hope to see you in the next reading. Take care.